With the ink barely dry on the landmark UK-India Energy and Free Trade Agreement, India's negotiating table with the United States has grown more complex. As the August 1 deadline for US-imposed reciprocal tariffs draws near, the UK's deepening commercial ties with India are shifting the dynamics of global trade and giving India new leverage in last-minute negotiations with Washington. India's sweeping trade pact with the UK secures near-total tariff-free access for Indian exports and opens the door to the British market for petroleum products, textiles, gems and more. In energy, the UK deal formally anchors India's status as the global refining hub, giving it preferential access to major Western markets just as many other countries face new barriers in the US. First, provides India with a major alternative export destination for its growing manufacturing and refining surplus. Second, it demonstrates India's ability to finalize complex trade agreements with a major Western economy, boosting its credibility at the negotiation table. As India sits down with US negotiators this week, it brings not just diplomatic momentum but also fallback position. If talks with US fail and tariffs up to 26% come into force from August 1, India now has the UK as a substantial, privileged market, reducing the risk of being overly dependent on US for its key exports. The 26% US tariff looms with the window for a mini deal closing fast. Core sticking points include US demands for access to Indian agriculture and dairy sectors and Indian requests for relief on US tariffs on steel, aluminium and auto parts. The UK-India deal, which slashed tariffs on most UK-India trade lines, gives New Delhi new negotiating strength and signals to Washington that India has alternatives among G7 economies. If the US and India fail to reach an agreement by August 1, Indian exporters face higher costs in the US, but the economic impact will be cushioned by the newly expanded UK market and stronger ties with Europe, Africa and others. For American businesses, there will be increased competition from UK and EU firms able to trade with India at lower tariffs, potentially motivating the US to seek more favorable long-term terms. India can take a firmer line now, emphasizing its expanding portfolio of Western trade partners while maintaining efforts to secure preferential access for labor-intensive sectors like textiles, gems and chemicals in the US. The UK-India deal doesn't just diversify India's trade partners, it demonstrates India's strategic agility under pressure. As the August 1 deadline looms, this new alliance strengthens India's hand across the negotiating table, lessening the potential fallout if US tariffs are imposed and signaling India's emergence as a global trade and energy powerhouse. How Washington responds will set the tone for the next era in US-India relations.